You may be seated. The court is now in session. Mrs. Chakraborty, could you report the attendance of the parties and individuals to today's proceeding? Chakraborty, good morning, Mr. President. For today's proceeding, all parties are present except the accused Evidentiary, who is at the holding cell downstairs due to his health. The witness, Ung Ran, is already in the courtroom. We do not have a reserved witness as the witness cannot make it on time today. President, thank you. The floor is once again given to the prosecution to continue putting question to this witness. You are reminded that the combined time allocation for you and the lead co-lawyers is for one session only, that is until we take a break. You may proceed. Counsel Sonarun. Good morning, Mr. President, Your Honors. I have the medical report before the proceeding by the physician at the ECCC, that is Dr. Tong Hong. He recommends that Nguyen Chia shall participate in the courtroom for about 30 minutes, and after that he shall be allowed to follow the proceeding at the holding cell downstairs. He is here at the moment, but he advises us that he cannot sit here for long due to his dizziness and his backache, so that he cannot concentrate and follow the proceeding in the courtroom. For that reason, I request your leave to have my client placed in the holding cell downstairs so that he can follow the proceeding. President, this morning the Chamber received a medical report from the physician at the ECCC detention facility after he examines Nuon Chia's health this morning, and he observes that Nuon Chia is fatigued. He feels dizzy as well and recommends that he shall participate in the proceeding for a short period of time, that is for about 30 minutes, and then he shall be allowed to follow the proceeding remotely. Nuon Chia himself made a request to the chamber for him to follow the proceeding remotely due to his health, and that he cannot participate even for a brief period of time in the courtroom. Your request is consistent with the recommendation in the medical report by the physician at ECCC after his examination of Nuon Chia's health. For that reason, and that he is capable to follow the proceeding remotely from the holding cell downstairs, and in order to avoid any substantial delay and in the interest of justice, and mainly based on the medical report or the physician's examination of the accused, as well as the request by Nuon Chia, the Chamber grants Mr. Nuon Chia permission to follow the proceeding remotely, that is from the holding cell downstairs through audio-visual means for today's proceeding. AV unit, you instructed to link the proceeding to the holding cell downstairs so that this accused can follow it remotely. This applies for the whole day proceeding. Security guards, you instructed to take Mr. Nuon Chia to the holding cell downstairs so he can follow the proceeding remotely. President, the prosecution, you may continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Mr. Witness. I want to ask you a follow-up question regarding a statement you made in your first OCIJ interview, which is E3/402, Khmer page 00379-449, English 00381-036, French 00424-050. In that, you made the following statement, quote, Commander Saroon used to hold the meetings and told me about the enemies such as CIA, KGB, and the UN enemy, end of quote. Can you tell us where were the meetings held at which Division Secretary Saroon talked about the CIA, KGB, and UN enemies?
In fact, in Division 801, Saroon held meetings at Versailles. The content of the meetings were about the KGB agent and the UN enemy. And number 2, he instructed each unit to monitor and follow any possible activities of these two groups.
I'd like to show you a document which is, Mr. President, it is document E3/1164. It is a November 25, 1976 report to Brother 89 from Roon of Division 801. If I may have that document submitted to the witness with your leave, Mr. President.
Yes, you may proceed. Court officer, could you deliver the hard copy from the prosecutor for the witness examination?
Section 2 of this report, which starts on the second page, contains a discussion of enemy activities within the division, including enemy infiltrators, and a report of statements obtained from combatants who had been arrested from Regiment 83. And the specific part of the document that I would like you to focus on are the proposed measures in Section 4 of the report, and in particular, the list of 5 organizational measures that you will find on Khmer page 000-52327. And I have the corresponding English page is 00516-711. That is Section 4 of the report. The first proposed organizational measure, number 1, states, quote, anyone who is suspicious of being an enemy must absolutely be arrested. Number 2 was, quote, to examine the document regarding a person implicated by the enemy and request for a temporary arrest. And then skipping down to proposed measure number 5 states, quote, those who are affiliated to political tendency shall be gradually arrested. At the beginning, we examine these elements to determine their good or bad activities toward the revolution. The good shall be temporarily kept. Anyone who is resisting or inactive shall be removed and put into a group. And then it states, quote, in conclusion, anyone who violated the discipline and repeated the faults after 3 to 4 sessions of education shall be arrested or removed from the unit. End of quote. And if you would also look at the very end of the report, Division Secretary Saroon concludes as follows, quote, this is a report of Committee 801 regarding enemy activities and measures as stated above, and we request that Uncle make remarks and comments. We look forward to receiving the party's recommendations, end of quote. My question to you, based on your experience as a regiment secretary and then later the deputy secretary of Division 801, were the measures that are proposed in this report matters that could be decided by the division itself, or was the approval of the center needed in order to impose such measures?
The situation, as I outlined from the beginning, in this report, it refers to each regiment within Division 801. So for me, for my own regiment or unit, we knew about the meeting, about other events that happened outside our unit. So Su Sarun's measure was that for us to follow the enemy's activities. That is the first point in my response to these questions. And number two, I heard his summarized instructions as to just read out. For those who conducted activities in a regiment or a battalion, the suspicious activities shall be followed and monitored, and they shall be educated. However, if the attempts to educate them did not succeed, then they would be arrested. However, there was no such phenomenon in my unit. It happened around those regiments close to the quarters of the Division 801.
And do you know whether Division Secretary Sarun had authority to decide on measures like this himself, or did he require the approval of the center in order to impose these measures?
I could not grasp this situation back then. I did not know whether he would receive the instructions from the upper echelon or whether he took decisions on his own regarding the arrest within his own division. However, the regiments and that his division needed to know what happened in their respective regiments. We knew of the instructions from the upper echelon to him only through the meetings that he relayed those instructions to us. But I could not grasp the clear instructions regarding the decision.
Thank you for that response. Let me now turn to another question. I want to turn now to the issue of the time period during which you were located at the General Staff. And in your OCIJ statement, you indicated that you thought you had left Simpang in July 1977, and that in August 1977 you were assigned to go to Phnom Penh. However, yesterday, when I showed you a document regarding events in Simpang in March 1977, you indicated that you may have already left Simpang before that time. You also told us yesterday that Saum was one of the members of the General Staff who you saw working at that office when you were located there. Is that correct?
As I already stated, I left Simpang in July. July was the rice planting season. And then I left for Phnom Penh to attend the study session.
The reason I ask you, you told us yesterday that Saum was one of the members of the general staff who was working at the office when you came there. However, S21 prisoner list D108/26.86 at Khmer page 00009223, English 00873-461, records that a Pech Chan alias Saum, assistant of the Office of General Staff, entered S21 on the 14th of March, 1977. This also suggests that the period that you went to Phnom Penh and were at the General Staff may have been prior to March 1977. So I want to ask you and show you a few documents to refresh your recollection and see whether your memory is mistaken and whether it was in fact 1976 when you went to Phnom Penh. And Mr. President, the first document I'd like to show the witness is document E3/810. That's E3/810, which are the 19 September 1976 minutes of a meeting of the division secretaries. If I may present that document to the witness.
President, yes, you may proceed.
The part of this document that I would like you to direct your attention to is a handwritten distribution list that appears in the upper right corner on the first page. And that distribution list reads as follows: number 1, 89, number 2, 81, number 3, Nat, number 4, Saum, and number 5, Ren 801. Now, we have looked through all the general staff documents chronologically, and this is the first document on which your name appears that we found. And, Mr. President, for the record, this document can be compared to the minutes of a September 7, 1976 meeting, E3/799, and the minutes of a 16 September 1976 meeting, E3/822, where the distribution list for those documents was only the first 4 people who are listed here. So my question for you, Mr. Witness, is the person identified as Ren 801, who is on the distribution list of document E3/810, is this you? And does this refresh your recollection that the period where you went to the General Staff Office in Phnom Penh was actually September 1976 and not 1977?
Response. I remember having left Siempang in July 1977. It was during the rice transplant season, about a month after rice being transplanted, that I had to go to Phnom Penh.
And why is it that you believe it was 1977? How are you sure that it was 1977 and not 1976 in the rice harvest period that you went to Phnom Penh?
Response. My personal observation is that in 1976 I was a farmer in Siempang, and in 1977 I still did farming in Siempang. Only in 1977 in July that I moved.
Let me show you a few more documents to see if this helps. After the date of the September 19 document that has includes a REN 801 in the distribution list, there are a number of other documents from the General Staff during the period from mid-September to December 1976 in which your name is included in the distribution list. And Mr. President, if I may present a group of these documents to the witness just so he may see the distribution lists. I will identify them for the record as they're being handed to him. But there are 6 documents. They are E3 1024, E3 1101, E3 /1212, E3 1151, E3 1107, and E3 1079. If they may be presented to the witness with your leave.
President, you may proceed.
Mr. Witness, was there any other person named Ren from Division 801 who was located for a period in Phnom Penh at the General Staff? Or were you the only Ren from Division 801 who, for a period, was located at the General Staff?
Response. In the General Staff Office, it was I alone who bear that name. Other individuals, person included in this office could have been Sam and Nat, and I already made it clear.
Recognizing that your name is just on the distribution list for this document, does this refresh your recollection as to your period at the General Staff? And can you tell us whether you are the Ren who is listed on the distribution list for these documents?
Response. I have never received document from 801 or document asking me to go to 801.
The distribution lists I've been showing you include a person identified as 81. Do you know who 81 was?
Response: I don't know.
Did you know a person at the General Staff named Seat Che alias Tum?
Response: no, I don't.
I want to turn now to some records of study sessions that were held at the General Staff in October and November 1976. First, for the record, Mr. President, in document E3/13, which is the 9 October 1976 minutes of a meeting of the division secretaries in Son Sen, Section 2 of those minutes discusses study sessions that were to be held at the General Staff commencing later that month, and indicates that all secretaries, regiment commanders, and battalion commanders of each division would be invited. Mr. Witness, the documents I would like you to look at are attendance lists for 2 General Staff study sessions. And if I may present those documents to the witness, Mr. President. The first document is E3/1585, and it is a list of participants for the first General Staff study session that began on the 20th of October, 1976. And then document E3/847 is a list that shows the participants at a second General Staff study session that began on the 23rd of November, 1976. And with your leave, Mr. President, I'd like to present those documents to the witness.
Response: rather, the President, you may proceed.
Mr. Ungren, I'd like to start with E3/1585, which is the attendance list for the first General Staff study session held on the 20th October 1976. And I want to direct your attention to the individuals on the attendance list who appear at numbers 92 through 122. That's numbers 92 through 122 of the list, where there are 31 regiment and battalion chiefs, deputies, and members from Division 801 who are recorded as having attended this study session. And could you look at the names of the people listed in numbers 92 through 122 and tell us whether you recognize the names of those people as fellow cadres from Division 801?
Response. I may wish to call the name I remember from that division. Run is my fellow comrade from the division. Horn and another person, King and Chaum. I know these individuals only.
Thank you. Now, if you could take the other document, E3/847, which is the attendance list for the second General Staff study session that was held on the 20th of November, 1976. And in this document, I would direct your attention to numbers 36 through 63 of the list, where there are a different group of 28 regiment and battalion chiefs, deputies, and members from Division 801 who are listed as attending the second study session. And if you could do the same thing, look at the numbers 36 through 63 on the list and tell us which of those people you recognize as fellow cadres from Division 801.
Response. Rươn, Cao, Prop, Sươn, Son,
Mr. Witness, I wanted you to just limit your review to persons numbers 36 through 63 of the list. Are there any other people in that part of the document who you recognize as from Division 801 other than the people you've already identified?
Response. I know only these individuals whose names I already mentioned. Other people could have been in the same division, but I don't remember them. You know, as I indicated, I don't even know brothers 81 and 83, although these people belong to the same division.
Do you remember the first and second General Staff study sessions that are recorded in these documents as being held in October and November 1976?
បាទ
Response: No, I don't.
Do you have any recollection as to why you are not listed as one of the attendees for Division 801 at these study sessions?
Response: The only thing I note is that my name didn't appear in the list. I believe that I was far in the front, that I was not called to such session. Each session was attended by at least a focal person of the unit.
Is it possible, Mr. Ungren, that the reason you are not listed in the Division 801 attendees is that this fell during the period that you were assigned to the general staff?
Response: As I already mentioned, I personally was not appointed by the commander of a division to work at the General Staff Office. I was sick. I had to be treated for my sickness for about 1 month, and I had to remain in the office, and there was no proper or formal appointment, and I did not do anything during that time.
For the record, Mr. President, there is another document that in the interest of time I will not show to the witness, but so we have, for the record of these proceedings, document E3/1045 at Khmer pages 00160061 through 160063, English pages 00335 265 through 335267. This document contains organization lists for Division 801 that accord with the people who are identified at the study sessions, the study session records that we've just discussed. Mr. Witness, the last group of documents I'd like to ask you about are a number of general staff documents, a number of other general staff documents that have a Comrade Wren referenced in them. And, Mr. President, if I could present 2 more documents to the witness, E3/1109, E3/820. E3/1109 is a report dated 21 September 1976 by a Comrade Wren of the General Staff Office describing a lifestyle meeting that was held at Division 450 on that date. And document E3/820 is a report dated 1 October 1976 by a Comrade Wren of the General Staff Office describing a lifestyle or criticism meeting held at Division 170. With your leave, may I present these documents to the witness?
Counsel for Mr. Q. Sampon, you may proceed first. Counsel Kung Samon. Thank you, Mr. President. A moment ago, the co-prosecutor made the argument concerning the document to be presented to the witness. To me, I believe that by doing so or by making some observation during the time when cross-examining the witness, it is not appropriate to do so. The prosecutor should have deferred to a later stage of the proceeding, and my humble opinion is that the prosecutor should go straight to the document rather than making observation.
Mr. President, if I may respond, we've addressed this issue before, and in terms of whether we should put on the record documents that we want the court to be aware of while it is our turn to question witnesses, and that's all I was doing with the reference to the description of the prior document. So, with your leave, if I may proceed and hand the next two documents to the witness.
The President, you may proceed, co-prosecutor.
Mr. Witness, if you could look at these two reports, and my question for you is whether you recall ever being assigned to attend lifestyle or criticism meetings that were held at Divisions 450 and 170, and to report to the General Staff on those meetings. Just to repeat my question, Mr. Witness, do you recall ever being assigned to attend and report on lifestyle or criticism meetings that were held at Division 450 and Division 170?
Response. I attended meetings at Division 70 and another division, perhaps 850. At that time, I was required to, no, it was not I who was required, it was Saum who had to attend the meeting, but he had other prior engagement that I had to really go to the meeting on his behalf.
And what did Saum ask you to do at these meetings?
Response. In such meeting, we had no authority to propose any item of agenda. We had to be in the meeting as an attendee only, and it was up to the chairman of the unit who proposed such item of agenda, and we had to report to the upper echelon on what we had to report to.
Do I understand then correctly that you were simply there to record and report on what happened or what the people from those divisions said during these meetings? Is that correct?
Response: yes, it is.
Another issue I'd like to ask you about, Mr. Witness, in the 18 October 1976 minutes of the Division Secretary's meeting, and this is document E3/815 at Khmer page 000-95530, English 00143-502, and French 00623-946. In these minutes, in the section in which Brother 89 provides comments, it contains a recommendation from Brother 89 to establish, quote, a joint committee comprising Comrades Nat, Teen, Ren, Saum, and the division secretaries, end of quote. And this committee was to look at the issue of how to defend the city of Phnom Penh and whether there should be any changes in the divisions in order to better defend the city. My question to you is whether you recall being assigned to a committee that was asked to make recommendations on the protection of Phnom Penh.
Regarding the plan to attack that was made between Nat and Saum, I was not involved. As I said from the beginning, I was at a separate location with other two people. I also stated before the OCIJ investigators that when there was an attack at Koki Saum, I was ordered to go there and monitor the situation. And upon my arrival, the enemy had already gone, so I returned. And that's all I knew. But I did not know anything about the plan to prevent the attack on Phnom Penh or any of a similar event. I did not participate in that meeting as you just stated in your question.
Thank you for that response. Mr. President, I'd now like to hand to the witness another document, which is document E3/1163, and this is a 14 November 1976 report by Comrade Ren of the General Staff Office. If I may present that to the witness.
Yes, you may proceed.
Mr. Ung Ram, this is another document from the General Staff Office that has from a report under your name. This is a report also regarding Division 450. Specifically, though, relates to cadres in the division, or a cadre named Chout, and people that he had implicated after being arrested. And the report goes on to give a description of various people who had been implicated by Chout in Division 450, 310, and Commerce and other locations. And at the end of the report states, quote, request to report this situation to Ankar following work with Brother Sung of 450. Are you able to recall and share with us, recall anything about this matter that you can share with the court?
I could not grasp the situation within the division, as there was no one by that name.
Do you recall having any meetings with Brother Sung from Division 450?
As I said, I did not know anyone by that name Seung in Division 450, because as I stated earlier, I attended a meeting once between the two divisions.
Mr. President, if I may now present to the witness a document E3/1131. That's E3/1131. And this is a 25 November 1976 report by a Comrade Ren from the General Staff Office.
Yes, you may proceed.
Mr. Ung Ren, this is a document that also a report that was done by Comrade Ren, your name. And the date of this is 25th of November 1976. If you'll recall, the second General Staff study session that I just showed you a while ago began on the 23rd of November 1976. And this is a report, quote, about working with Bang Un of Division 310. Paragraph 1 states, there are two people who have been implicated by enemy and have come to attend the training session. Chea, secretary of a battalion in Division 310, and Ham Horn, a soldier in a battalion of Division 310. Carrying on later in the document, the division has grasped both of them and found that so far they have not had any activities. They used to live with Bang Un since 1970, and he grasped their information even from their homes. Do you recall this matter? Do you recall working with Bang Un from Division 310?
No, I cannot recall that. And in fact, I know this Un. As for the other two people mentioned in this document, I did not know them. Activities in each division was only known to their respective division. As for the duties at the General Staff Office, where I stayed for a short period of time, it was not through work with the military affairs. Sometimes I was told to attend this meeting or that meeting on their behalf when I was free, but I cannot recall anything regarding the event mentioned in this document.
Thank you. Mr. President, for the record, the report that E31131 that the witness was just discussing, as I indicated, refers to two people who had been implicated who were attending the training session, a chair and a horn. And for the record, the attendance list of the 23 November 1976 Second General Staff Study Session, document E3/847. Person number 217 on that list is a chair from Division 310, and person number 220 on that list is a horm from Division 310. The next document I'd like to present to the witness is document E3/1166, which is a 24 December 1976 report by a comrade Ren. If I may present that to the witness, Mr. President.
Yes, you may proceed.
E3/1166 is a 24 December 1976 report by Comrade Ren from the General Staff. And this is titled, quote, request to report to brother on the general situation in Division 450 obtained after going to work with Brother Sung and Brother Yan. And it concerns a proposal to remove a Comrade Lum from the unit. Do you recall anything about this matter that you are able to share with the court at this time, Mr. Witness?
I knew about this event when I had a meeting with Sung and Jan. It was the situation within their unit, and that they needed to report to the upper echelon. And while I was at the General Staff, I was asked to assist them, but I only made the report. I did not make the decision. And that unit requests for the removal of that particular individual.
Who was it at the General Staff that asked you to go work with Brother Sung and Brother Yan and to make this report?
I work with Suong and Jan under the instruction of Nat.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. Mr. President, for the record, a individual named Mao Soka, alias Lum, identified as an assistant of Division 450, entered S21 on the in 1970, 31st of December 1976, 1 week after the date of this report. His name appears in document D108/26.22 at Khmer page 000887720, and he is number 6 on this S21 list. I have two more reports from Comrade Ren that I would like to hand to him, Mr. President. Perhaps I can give them, with your leave, have both of them presented at the same time. The first is document E3/1161, which is a 12 March 1977 report by Ren, and the second is document E3/1044, a 30 October 1977 report by Ren.
Yes, you may proceed. However, the co-prosecutor, can you indicate through the chamber as the combined time allocation for you and the lead co-lawyers for civil parties remained only 14 minutes left?
Yes, Mr. President. I have just a couple of more documents to this. I've received a note from the civil parties indicating that they were fine with me using all the available time to question the witness. Mr. Ungren, if you could look first at document E3/1161, and this is a 12 March 1977 report by you titled or regarding, quote, I would like to report on the overall situation in divisions 310 and 450. And it states that you had met with the brothers and sisters, quote, in accordance with the views or instructions of the organization, end of quote. Can you recall, is there anything that you recall at this time about this meeting that you're able to share with the chamber today?
I acknowledge that I participated in that meeting regarding the overall situation in the unit. And due to the changed situation, some said that I should go to Chibampo to meet with 170 through a system, and the situation was that to monitor the enemy's activities. As for the military activities, there were movements and things changed. So I was excited to observe and monitor the internal activities as well as the external activities, and whether those people in the unit abided by the discipline. And yes, I did take that action.
And when you were asked to go to this meeting held with Divisions 310 and Divisions 450 on the 11th of March 1977, had you been told that the secretaries of both those divisions had been arrested the prior month, both Comrades Sung and Comrades Un? Were you aware when you were asked to go to this meeting that the secretaries of both those divisions had just been purged?
I could not grasp the situation back then. I did not know whether there were issues within any specific division or regiment. I only attended that meeting regarding the change situation, and that I saw reports to some regarding the changed conditions in those respective units.
The last General Staff document that I want to ask you about is E3-1044. And this is a 30 October 1977 report by Wren of the General Staff. And this is a report that requests the removal of bad elements who are divided into three categories. In the first paragraph, Category 1, there is a list of 3 persons who are requested to be sent to Brother Deutsch. In paragraph 2, there are a list of 7 persons proposed to be sent to Brother Hui. And in the third paragraph, category 3, indicates that, quote, 26 persons are to be sent to the farm paddy at Presar. We are tracing them. Their offenses have not yet been categorized, end of quote. What can you tell us about the circumstances of this report?
Regarding this report, in fact, I myself never made any report or request to Deutsch for the removal of any person. If something happened within the division, I only had the authority to report to some, and some would report further to the upper echelon. I did not have any authority to propose for people to be sent to S21 or to work in the rice fields or something of a similar nature. I did not control those individuals, and it was not my task to do so. So I'd like to make this point clear to you. The situation at that time would take some time for me to touch upon. For instance, in a cooperative, in order to work in a rice field, if a plow was broken, did it come to the knowledge of the general staff without a report from the cooperative chief? or the village chief. And the village chief or the cooperative chief would not know about that unless he was reported by the group chief. So I made the report to SAUM, and SAUM would further relay such a report to the upper echelon, and whatever decisions they made were beyond my knowledge.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. I do understand, and please understand that we are not suggesting that you had authority to propose the removal of these people. You're not being accused of anything. We're here to see if you have information as to who was responsible for these matters. And I understand you say that you did not have authority to request the removal of people. Were you writing this report on behalf of someone else who was seeking authority to have these people removed?
As I stated from the beginning regarding the activities and the report, and I was not even sure, maybe they made a report and they also used my name as the one who prepared the report.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. There's one last subject matter that I would like to ask you about, and then I will end my questioning. And this concerns an entity, the People's Representative Assembly. In 1976, were you aware of the entity that was known as the People's Representative Assembly?
No, I did not actually know about it. I heard people talking about it, but I never attended any of the event and such the entity.
Were you ever informed by anyone that when the Democratic Kampuchea government announced the election of the People's Representative Assembly in March 1976, that you were named as one of the representatives of the Cambodian Revolutionary Army?
My commander told me about that. In my division, he said, only him, that is 06, and his deputy 05 rather, and his deputy 06 were named. But after, we were never called to attend any meeting.
And do you know, was there actually any election or voting that was held in your location, Stung Treng Province, in March 1976? Was there an election conducted in Stung Treng for the People's Representative Assembly?
No, there was no meeting or election held there. The work was decided in a meeting, and then the instructions would be relayed in the announcement. Under the regime, there was no election as I observed. Usually, the decision would be announced after it was decided, and the instruction was in writing for such an announcement. There was no open election or decision making of that sort. However, I would not have any idea of the process that was done at the base. Because I did not see any gathering or a major meeting in making a decision.
Were you at any time invited to attend any meetings of the People's Representative Assembly?
No, I never attend such a meeting. I knew that my commander only told me that only his name and his deputy son were within the People's Representative Assembly and not my name. That's how I knew about that.
And did you ever vote on any legislation by the People's Representative Assembly? Let me rephrase it. Were you ever presented with any legislation that you were asked to approve on behalf of the People's Representative Assembly?
As I indicated earlier, no.
Thank you, Mr. Ung Ren, for answering our questions. I know some of these subject matters, were very difficult to discuss. We appreciate your time. Mr. President, I have no further questions.
The President, thank you, the co-prosecution, and the time allocated to both the prosecution and the lead co-lawyers for the civil party have already been used, and it is now appropriate moment for the adjournment. The chamber will adjourn for 20 minutes. The next session will be resumed by 10 to 11. Court officer is now instructed to assist the witness during this adjournment and have him return to the courtroom by 10 to 11.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រោកឈរ